Good morning children, I am Asexual. Now I am going to teach you the new chapter, How do organisms reproduce? As you know, reproduction is the most important characteristic feature of living things. And reproduction is the ability of an organism to produce their young ones. So let's see. Reproduction means the ability of an organism to produce their young ones. So this property of a living organism ensures continuity on earth. So the continuity of the species on earth ensured by the property of reproduction. And the reproduction is of two types. You already learned in 8th standard. The types of reproduction are asexual and sexual. So the types of reproduction are asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. In asexual method of reproduction, there is only single parent involved in the production of young ones. That means there is no participation of male and female parents. Only a single parent can produce their young ones. And in asexual reproduction, the offsprings produced by this asexual reproduction are identical to each other. And they are identical to the parents also. And in case of asexual reproduction, there is no fusion of gametes. And there is no genetic variation because the offsprings are identical. So there is no chance of genetic variation in case of asexual reproduction. Okay. And in case of sexual reproduction, male and female parents are involved. Male and female parents are involved in the production of young ones, and the offspring produced by sexual reproduction are not identical to the parents. They show difference and they are different from each other. There is fusion of gametes occur and the offsprings are showing variations also. Let's see the difference between asexual and the sexual method of reproduction. The first point is, we can write single parent involved in the production of young ones. Here we can write both male and female parents involved. Male and female parents involved in the production of young ones. And the second point is, there is no formation and the fusion of gamete. No formation and fusion of gametes. But here in sexual reproduction, formation and fusion of gametes occur. Formation and fusion occur. Okay. And the third point is, the offspring or young ones produced by asexual reproduction are identical to each other. Offsprings are identical to each other. And in case of sexual reproduction, the offsprings are different from each other. They are different from each other. And one more point I want to tell you, the offsprings produced by asexual reproduction are identical to each other, and such offsprings are called clones. Okay, so the clones are identical offsprings produced by asexual reproduction. And the fourth point is, this offspring does not show genetic variation. No genetic variation. So there is no difference. No genetic variation. The parental characters are transmitted as such. There is no variation occur in case of asexual reproduction. But in case of sexual reproduction, variation or genetic variation occur. These are the differences between Next we can see the different types of asexual reproduction. As I told you, a single parent can produce their young ones or offspring. The young ones or offspring are also known as daughter cells. Okay. And the major types of asexual reproduction are fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, spore formation, vegetative propagation. In all these types of reproduction, a single parent is involved in the production of the young ones. And the last one is occurring in plants. Next we can see the asexual mode of reproduction, fission, in detail. In case of fission, it's a method of asexual reproduction commonly seen in unicellular organisms like the bacteria, protozoa, etc. And here the organism divides to form two daughter cells or more than two daughter cells. The parent organism divides to form two or more than two daughter cells in case of fission. Okay, so the organisms divides to form two daughter cells or more than two daughter cells, So this is called a fission. And fission is of two types. There are two types of fission: binary fission and multiple fission. Binary fission and multiple fission. As I told you, the fission leads to the formation of two daughter cells or more than two daughter cells. Daughter cells means young ones or offspring. If the fission is resulting in the formation of two daughter cells, that fission is called binary fission. Okay, so binary fission means if the parental organism divides to form two daughter cells, that fission is called binary fission, and that is common in bacteria, amoeba, paramecium, and leishmania also. Leishmania. Okay, I will show you the picture of leishmania. So this is the picture of leishmania. So this leishmania show binary fission. Okay. And now we can see the multiple fission. In case of multiple fission, the parent organism divides to form more than two daughter cells, and that fission is called multiple fission, and that is common in Plasmodium. So the multiple fission we can see in Plasmodium. I will show you the diagram of Plasmodium. So this is Plasmodium. Okay, can you see this? So this is Plasmodium. You can see the Plasmodium. Okay. Now we can see the fission. So fission is the process of asexual reproduction. Here the organism divides to form two daughter cells or more than two daughter cells. If two daughter cells are produced by fission, that is binary fission, and more than two daughter cells are produced by fission, means it is multiple fission. Is it clear about fission? Next we can see the next method, fragmentation. So here the fragmentation method is also an asexual method of reproduction commonly seen in multicellular organisms. So in multicellular organisms like Spirogyra, they are common. Spirogyra you already seen in lower classes like 9th standard. Then sea anemone, flatworm, etc. So in these organisms we can see fragmentation. So fragmentation means the organism divides into pieces or fragments, and each fragments develop and grow as a new organism. Okay, so the same method is here, but it is occurring in multicellular cellular organism. So the different name fragmentation. The parental organism divides into fragments or pieces, and each fragments develop and grow as new organism. And it is common in case of Spirogyra, sea anemone, flatworm, etc. Is it clear about fragmentation? Next we can see regeneration. Regeneration is a method of asexual reproduction commonly seen in organisms like planaria, starfish, etc. So in planaria and starfish, we can see this regeneration method of asexual reproduction. Here, this is a picture of planaria. So in planaria, if the body of planaria is cut into different parts, each parts, the lost part can restore or regenerate or reproduce a new individual. So that is regeneration. And another example I will show you, starfish. In case of starfish, there are 6 arms are here. If any one arm is cut off along the parts of the center, new starfish can form from that lost arm. And that is a peculiar feature of these organisms. So this kind of reproduction is called regeneration. So in regeneration, the organisms can produce or restore or create a new organism from its lost part. Okay, so we can write new organisms can produce from lost part. It is called a regeneration. So regeneration is a process of asexual reproduction in which new organisms are formed from the lost part of the parental body. It is common in planaria, starfish, etc. Next we can see the next method of asexual reproduction, that is budding. So budding is an asexual method of reproduction commonly seen in hydra and yeast. So here, from the body of the parent, a projection called bud arises from the body of the parent and it starts to grow. When it attains maturity, it gets detached from the parent body and grow as a new organism. I will show you the picture of hydra. Here you can see hydra. In hydra, from the body, there is a projection, and that projection is called buds. Bud. A bud arises from the body of the parent organism, and that starts to grow. When it attains maturity, it gets detached from the parent body and grow as a new organism. And this is called a budding. And in budding is common in hydra, yeast, etc. Next we can see spore formation. See, spore formation is common in organisms like rhizopus. So rhizopus is a fungus. I'll show you the rhizopus. So this is rhizopus. Okay. So this rhizopus consists of reproductive units called spores. So spores are the reproductive units. The reproductive units seen in the rhizopus. So these reproductive units are located in the spore case. So spore case or sporangia. Sporangia, plural sporangia. So these spores are enclosed inside the sporangia. Okay, so these are the sporangia. The sporangia. Okay, and when this sporangium bursts, the spores spread into the air. When the spores land on soil under favorable condition, it can germinate and grow as a new organism. So this spore case burst. At that time, after bursting, the spore spread into air. When the spore lands on soil, the spores land on soil, under favorable condition it can germinate and grow into new organism. So this is a method of reproduction called the spore formation in rhizopus. And the last asexual method of reproduction, vegetative propagation, commonly seen in plants, that we can see in the next class. Hope you understood everything about the asexual reproduction methods such as fission, fragmentation, regeneration, budding and spore formation. That's all for today.